Hi guys, welcome back to Podcast. So for today's video, well, you can see it on the video right here. We are going to review the newly released, especially here in Indonesia, the Pop Race Mazda 787B. It is the long-awaited model right here in Indonesia because we've seen so many photos from other countries. They already have the model release while we are still waiting for our stocks here in Indonesia to arrive. And it finally arrived around last week, late last week. And then, yeah, I did pre order this item and it just got here. So, yeah, as you can see, this model is still in a sealed plastic. So, we are going to see it right on the video with me, with my first impression of the model. So yeah, I'm very excited because there are so many people that hyped about this model. Maybe because it is one of the most iconic race cars in the Le Mans series, and then it is one of the iconic cars too, like the stories, the history, and then obviously the features that was offered, which is the openable part in the front and the rear. So we are going to see that also later in the video. But for now, let's talk about the packaging first. The packaging itself, well, it is pretty much the same as the other Pop Race models, but you can see it right here. They got this kind of like graphics or the shapes that kind of like replicates the livery of the actual car. Like you could see here the triangle, you could see the triangle on the actual car also with the colorway, the green and the orange, which is pretty nice for Pop Race to replicate that into the packaging. So on the front you could see the model name, which is the Mazda 787B, as well as the brand name, the Pop Race 164, and then the artwork of the model. And then on the top we could see another display side of this box, with which you could see you could display it like vertically or the horizontal way. It's up to you. And then on the back you could see obviously the other warning, choking hazard, and then well, pretty much, oh, you could see this. So the model itself is licensed from Pop Race and Mazda. So yeah, that is good news for you guys that kind of like very concerned about the licensing of a model. And then on the side it's pretty much the same. It is the Mazda, the model name, and then the Pop Race. So yeah, I think that's about it for the packaging. And now let's open the model right here on the video. You are going to see my first impression of this model because I haven't had the time or the opportunity to see the model up close on my hand, because I just see it on people's photos on the social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. And then there you have it. This is the model. Let's take this plastic off to the side. And okay, right, so this is what the model looks like outside of the packaging. And to be honest, wow, I did not expect this from Pop Race because, well, I mean, this is a pretty nicely done Mazda 787B in 164 scale. And then well, let's just talk starting from the front right here. Let me try to zoom it more. So okay, so yeah, you could see that it has so much details regarding the sponsors. Like starting from the front right here, you could see the Brembo, the Dunlop, and then the headlights details. Also, you could see the two circles inside the headlights housing, and then the headlights cover with the plastic, the clear plastic. Okay, this is pretty nice for a Pop Race. And then the charts, the CB, and unfortunately we have this small defects on the on the sponsors, the charge, the E is slightly wiped out, I think, during the production. But yeah, it's part of the production. I cannot like whining about that. Like it's, yeah, you just have to accept it, right? What are you gonna do about it? So yeah, moving on, we got the Renown, the main sponsors for this Mazda, and then the Mazda again. Again, I think this one has a kind of like wiped out tampo right there. And then obviously the Mazda 787B, the model, the car's name, and then the number 55. And to be honest, the graphics itself is pretty nice. Like it is pretty neat though. The graphics, the orange livery, the green livery, it's pretty nice to see on a 1/64 scale. And then there is the side mirrors right here, which I think is, let me see. Oh, this is a rubber. This is rubber side mirrors, but it kind of feels like a bit hard. So you might want to be careful about that, not to kind of like break it apart. And then moving on to the side, now this is the silhouette of the model. You can see it right here. It doesn't fit pretty well on the video right there. So the silhouette itself is pretty nicely done also by Pop Race. The model car is very low to the ground, it's very sleek. It's a typical Group C race car, looks like the Porsche 956 and other types of like Jaguar XJR9 and other cars like that, you know. And yeah, moving on to the side, we got another sponsors right here, the Race, the NGK, and then the Charge Mazda 55 Renown, and then what else? There's some small sponsors right there. And then this one is the driver's name, which you could see it for yourself, you could read it. And then another sponsor right here. This is actually pretty cool. Sponsors, it's pretty sharp though. Sponsors. Then you can see the details right here for the radiator on the rear of the car. And then the wheels itself, the wheels is consists of two different models. This one is the Folk Race Mag, the 5-spoke wheels. Yep. And then for the front wheels, they are covered in this aero disc, even though they in some brands like Motor Helix, they can take off the aero disc cover to reveal the actual wheels. But I think Pop Race just make it like this way. You cannot open the aero disc, but yeah, it's still cool though. It's still nice. And then the tires itself has this Dunlop tire letterings on the sidewall, which is pretty nice details from Pop Race. And the wheels itself is pretty nice also with the slick tires, and the thickness are perfect, I think, for the model. And then moving on to the back, now this is where you could see the low hanging spoiler of the Mazda 787B. And looking at the back, well, obviously because this Mazda has a very tiny taillights, it is pretty understandable that they use painted taillights like this red one and the orange one for the rear part of the model instead of using a clear plastics. And that is understandable. And then you could see some small details on there on the back of the car, the Mazda speed, and then other details like the transmission details right there and the diffuser. And then the wings itself, on my sample, it does look pretty straight to me, even though they're slightly crooked here. But yeah, there is pretty minor defects that I wouldn't even notice when I take a photo. And then yeah, on the top you can see the charge right here. It's pretty nice. And then yeah, I think that's about it for the exterior. Now let's move on to the main features, or the main selling point of this model, which is the opening features. So yeah, let's start from the front. Let me try to pull it out right there. So they have these magnets, like you see that the two circles on the center, that is the magnet, that kind of like sticks to that place right there, and it just sticks right there. It's pretty satisfying, to be honest. Like you pull it out, then when you want to put it back, it just sticks right there because of the magnet. So yeah, let me put this off first. Then we are going to try to see the details. Like this is the radiator, I think, with the Mazda Speed branding, and there is some carbon fiber details on the frame right here. That is pretty nice attention to details from Pop Race. Then a few suspension details, right? The suspension and then the framing for the wheels itself. It's pretty nice. And then we are going to try to open on the back. Again, this has the magnets also right there, which sticks to that place. Wait, let me try to put it back again. Right there. So you pull it out, and you need to be careful with the two air intakes right there to kind of like fit in on the hole right here on the engine cover. So yeah, that is how you stick the cover, the engine cover, and then we'll see the details of the engine itself. And the details are pretty amazing too. Like you can see, obviously the suspension details again on the back, and then a few other details of the engine, which I don't really know about the details of the engine, the parts itself, but you could see some blue details on there, some cables, some wirings, some silver, obviously silver parts of the engine, and it's pretty nice also to see this kind of like details for a Pop Race. It's pretty nice for details. And they also got the carbon fiber texture right here on the frame too. Like this side, they have this carbon fiber weave. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So let's try to put it back, the cover, and put it back for the front. But I think, to be honest, in my sample, I don't know if other sample has the same feel about like this sample, but I kind of like the front magnets better than the rear one, because the front one sticks better to the model, like you could hear it, whereas the rear one, it's kind of like a bit hard for the models to like stick the magnet. You can see that they have this small gap difference between this one and this one. So yeah, the gap is bigger on this one, if you could see that on video. So yeah, overall, I think, is this model worth the hype? I think yes, because obviously we already have so much options for Mazda 787B in 1/64 scale, like from Kyosho, that released them like almost a decade ago in many versions, like in their blind box, in their acrylic version with different details. And then we obviously have the Tomica Limited Vintage with the same features, the opening parts on the front and the rear, but it has gone up in prices. Like maybe it's gone too expensive for 1/64 scale. And then late last year, I think we already have the Motor Helix again with the same features, opening front and the rear, but I think Motor Helix offers more details on their model, like including the separate aero disc, which you can put it on yourself, and then they have so much better details on the engine, on the front details also. And I think it kind of like justify the price for Motor Helix to sell it in that price with their details. But then they Pop Race came to the market, and I think Pop Race kind of like filled the gap between the older Kyosho version that doesn't have the openings, and then bridging the gap with the much more expensive Tomica Limited Vintage and then the Motor Helix. and they kind of like offered the model somewhere in between, like the quality or the feel of a Kyosho, that nothing is too fragile, like having antennas or having a brittle part like easily broken down like motor helix. But then you still get the opening parts right here, like a motor helix or a TLV for a budget. Like this model sold like 18 like to $20, and I think that is like a bang for the buck for a Mazda 787B model in 64 scale. And I think, yeah, that is really nice, and I think this model worth the hype that Pope Race and the collectors made, because this model is really good for itself. Like if you do not compare it to the other brands, this is really nice. You could see, you could get a pretty nicely done model with the opening features, with the better price point. So yeah, I think this is a really nice model, and if you really like the model, if you want to try the model for once, you should try it. Like maybe while you still can, maybe the market will go crazy about this model and selling them for an insane amount of price, and then you couldn't afford them. But yeah, I think this one is pretty nice model, and I couldn't wait for the next releases, like the test car, the black matte version, and then the white and the blue version, and then the white and the green version. And yeah, I think again, this is a really nice Pop Race, and if you want to buy one, go buy one. So yeah, I think that's about it for this video, guys. This is the Pop Race Mazda 787B, the Renown livery, the iconic one, and it's really nice. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.